They told her never to fall for a married man. She did it anyway, and the price was higher than either of them expected. Elena Vargas was 29 the night she almost walked out of Mercy General for good. She had just finished a 12-hour shift in the ER, her scrubs stiff with someone else's blood, her back screaming. The fluorescent lights in the staff lounge hummed like they were tired of living too. She was pouring burnt coffee into a paper cup when Dr. Nathan Cole walked in. Everyone knew Nathan Cole, 41, chief of trauma, married to a corporate lawyer who smiled too perfectly in the hospital Christmas photos, 2 kids in private school, the kind of man who never raised his voice and somehow still made interns cry. He didn't look at Elena at first. He just opened the refrigerator, stared at a yogurt that had been there since last Tuesday, and closed it again. "Long night," he said. "They're all long nights," she answered. That was the first time they spoke without anyone else in the room. It started the way these things always start, slowly, then all at once. A shared look across a trauma bay while a teenager coded, his hand brushing hers when he passed her a chart. The night she stayed late charting and found him still in the attending lounge at 2 a.m., tie loosened, reading a journal article like it was a love letter. "You should go home," she said. "You first." She didn't. They talked that night, about nothing important, about the way the hospital smelled after rain, about the patient who asked if angels wore scrubs, about how neither of them had slept more than 4 hours in 3 days. When she finally stood to leave, he walked her to the elevator. He didn't touch her. He didn't need to. The air between them was already doing the work. The first time they crossed the line was 3 weeks later. A multi-vehicle crash came in at 11:40 p.m., 6 patients, 2 DOA. Elena worked the airway on a woman who would never wake up. Nathan cracked a chest on the man in the next bay. By the time it was over, both of them were shaking. He found her in the empty supply closet on the 3rd floor, the one no one used after midnight. She was leaning against the shelves of saline bags, eyes closed, trying not to cry. He didn't ask if she was okay. He just stepped inside and closed the door. The kiss was messy and desperate and tasted like adrenaline. When they pulled apart, both of them were breathing like they'd run a marathon. "This is a terrible idea," he said. "I know." They did it anyway. For 2 months, they lived in the spaces between shifts, a hotel off I-95 that took cash and didn't ask questions, the back seat of his black SUV in the far corner of the staff garage after the night crew left. Once, stupidly, the on-call room when the hospital was quiet enough that the risk felt theoretical. He never stayed the whole night. She never asked him to. He talked about his kids sometimes, his daughter's soccer games, his son's fear of the dark. He never said his wife's name. Elena never asked. She told herself that made it cleaner. It didn't. The guilt sat between them like a third person. Some nights it was so loud they could barely look at each other. Other nights it disappeared completely, and for a few hours, the only thing that existed was the way his hands felt on her skin and the sound of his breathing when he finally let go. She started keeping a toothbrush in her locker. He started texting her from the attending lounge when the coast was clear. Stairwell B, 10 minutes. They both knew it couldn't last. It ended the way these things always end, quietly, then all at once. His wife found the second phone. Elena learned about it on a Tuesday morning when she walked into the break room and every conversation stopped. No one said anything directly. They didn't have to. The looks were enough. By lunch, the entire nursing staff knew. By the end of the day, so did half the surgical floor. Nathan was called into administration. Elena was moved off the night shift for operational reasons. They never spoke in the hospital again. 2 weeks later, she found an envelope in her locker. No note, just a key to a storage unit across town and a folded piece of paper with an address written in his handwriting. She almost threw it away. She almost kept it forever. Instead, she drove there on a rainy Thursday night, parked under a streetlight that flickered like it was nervous, and opened the unit. Inside was a single cardboard box. Her favorite hoodie, the one she'd left in his car the night of the ice storm. A half-empty bottle of the cheap whiskey they used to drink in the hotel. And a letter. She sat on the concrete floor and read it under the light of her phone. Elena, I don't get to ask for forgiveness. I don't get to ask for anything. You gave me the only honest hours I've had in years, and I took them knowing exactly what it would cost you. I told myself I could keep the two lives separate, that I could be the man who went home to soccer games and the man who met you in stairwells. I was wrong. The second man was the only one who felt real. That doesn't make what I did right. It just makes it true. I resigned this morning. They're announcing it as a personal leave. We both know better. I won't contact you again, not because I don't want to, because wanting to is the problem. If you ever need anything, call this number. It's clean. No one else has it. I'm sorry I wasn't braver. I'm sorry I wasn't better. N. There was a phone number at the bottom. She stared at it for a long time. Then she folded the letter, put everything back in the box, and locked the unit. She never called the number. 6 months later, Elena transferred to a hospital in Denver. New city, new shift, new locker that didn't smell like him. Sometimes, late at night, when the ER was quiet and the fluorescent lights hummed the same old tired song, she still caught herself looking toward the attending lounge, waiting for a door to open that never would. She told herself that was the real cost of forbidden things. Not the scandal, not the looks, not even the ending. It was the way the ordinary world kept going after the secret one was gone, and how long it took to stop listening for a voice that no longer answered. If this story hit you in the chest the way it hit me while writing it, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments, would you have called the number or left it locked in the storage unit forever? New forbidden stories every week. Don't miss the next one.